On this week's episode of the WNP podcast, your host, Mike, well, he's in a lot of pain. Stay tuned. Episode 134 of the We're Not Professionals podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, how you doing?
I'm doing swell, especially more swell than you.
Well, that's kind of rude. Maybe I had a great day.
Yeah, I don't know how great your days have been since, that dreadful
Since
night.
Valentine's Day? Wow. Yeah. That hurts. We also have Graham on board with us. Graham, how are you?
Terrible.
Well, I'm glad that someone's with me.
Lost.
On this episode of the We're Not Professionals podcast, we first got to go through a little bit of news. Going to be looking at the Super Bowl and then going to be doing a season in review. Look back at some of our hottest takes, some of our predictions for the regular season standings and all of that. So not a lot on the table, but I feel like the discussion is actually going to exceed what the actual content is. So we're going to have a lot to talk about here. Let's start with the biggest news of the day, that being Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. He gets extended through 2026. That'll be a 4-year extension on top of next year, which is his last season on the current contract. I'll let you guys get your thoughts out. I know you guys are very differing opinions than me, but go ahead.
Well, hopefully there's a clause in that contract where he has to hire someone else to call plays.
Yeah.
Because, wow, he is so bad at it. And I don't know if I really still don't know what offensive coordinators do that aren't calling plays. I don't know if they're in charge of like personnel deployment and then Zach Taylor calls the plays from there or what goes on. I don't know. But if he's in charge of the personnel deployment too, then he really needs an offensive coordinator to do everything because, wow, that guy is bad at it. But he did help shape a culture and help the team get to the Super Bowl and no one expected. I don't have like a big issue with it, but say the Bengals regress next year. And this was just a fluke season. Everything went right and things happened. They have a struggle some year. I'm saying if they do, that's gonna be a bad look.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. If you say it as the second part where you said if it's a struggle some year, then sure. But if you just say, oh, if they regress, what is the likelihood that the Bengals go to the Super Bowl again?
Well, I don't mean like the Super Bowl part. I just mean like their regular season record because they were 10-7, right? That's what they finished at. So if they regress to 7-10, 8-9 when they have like a healthy team, that's.
I think that's fair. But when you were, how it was worded, you can take it any way. And regression from a Super Bowl is,
Well, anyway, Super Bowl runs need to be the expectation at this point anyway. So missing playoffs is a big issue at this point. It has to be.
So let's can Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
Hasn't been to the Super Bowl. Get him out.
Make it the playoffs every time, baby.
Get him out. All right, Graham?
I think that I don't know where I would be if I was in your shoes and I was fully invested in this team all season, watching it under even 2 years under Zach Taylor, and I would be mixed feelings. I think because that's your team. You're watching them in the Super Bowl, but at the same time, I feel like just so many mistakes came down to Zach Taylor making dumb decisions on offense that I don't know. For me, watching the Bengals in the playoffs and trying to be pretty invested in them, Zach Taylor just infuriated me with some of the things that he did. And so, obviously, by what I'm saying, I feel like I'm a little mixed on it. But like Chase was saying, I feel like if he's able to get a play caller in, a smart play caller, then sure, run the culture, I guess. But I'm still not a fan of him, and I want to see growth out of him this upcoming year for sure.
I think that he absolutely deserves an extension. Going from 6-25-1 in his first 2 years to a Super Bowl appearance, that says something that makes me think like this year was a make or break year for him. If he has a bad year, if they only get 4 to 6 wins, can him. But he gets to the Super Bowl. Also, I think as a personnel guy, as a leader of men, I think he's a top 10 coach in the league when it comes to that specific asset. But then I agree with you guys when it comes to play calling. Like, he hasn't been great. I don't mind letting him start with the play calling next season if they upgrade the offensive line, because obviously the offensive line isn't good, and that can limit what you want to call. You want to get the ball out quick and everything. So I wouldn't mind giving it to him if the offensive line gets upgraded and see what happens. But as of right now, I agree the play calling isn't there. However, he deserves the extension in my mind, so I'm okay with it.
Here's the thing, though. You easily could have waited until into the season for this one. It's not like his contract was up this year. He still had one more year left. You could have waited into the season and be like, hey, we're going to, we can have some preliminary talks, but we really want to wait to solidify things, once the season gets rolled along, make sure that everything's still in check, that kind of thing. And if he has an issue with it, then he's just mentally weak, so I would have waited as long as possible, see how things shape up. And, as long as the season got off without a hitch, then yeah, great. But if things started looking like, okay, there's some issues here, then you'd be a little more cautious.
I don't know where I come down on you saying that he's a top 10 coach and being a leader of men. I feel like that just struck me as a little outlandish. Okay. I don't know. I feel like the Bengals are such a unique roster. From my perspective, obviously, I feel like obviously you're more invested in the team, so I feel like you know it a bit better than I do, at least. But from me looking at it, I feel like the players on this roster were playing for each other, regardless of if they had a leader of men head coach. And, I'm sure that he definitely did his part in banding these guys together, but I don't know if he's top 10 in being a leader of men.
That's such a hard thing to quantify. I couldn't agree or disagree either way.
I've got the list of teams pulled up if we want to just talk about cultures. Because, I would say the Bengals have a top 10 locker room culture easily, and that starts with the head coach.
It starts with it, but I don't know if he's the be-all, end-all of it.
He's not the propellant.
Right.
I just think that if you got a team that's so connected like that, and he makes it to the Super Bowl, there's no reason he doesn't deserve it.
I guess it doesn't super matter. At the end of the day, it's going to be results driven if he gets to play out the entirety of this contract and even get another one. So, you hope for the best, and I do. I'm right there with you. I hope that he is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. Let's go from head coach in extension to head coaching announcement, as Kevin O'Connell officially gets announced. We've talked about this a little bit. Obviously, the Vikings and O'Connell were waiting until the Rams were eliminated from the playoffs, and they never did get eliminated from the playoffs, but their season is over, so O'Connell can be officially announced.
Yeah, whatever. I don't
love
know.
it.
Not a guy I really know. I just don't know enough about him to really feel one way or another.
Yeah,
and then
whatever.
I don't recall the name of the QB coach, but it sounds like O'Connell is trying to bring him over as the OC.
From the Rams?
Yes, from the Rams.
Okay.
So
whatever. Well, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it fails miserably as a Lions fan, because I want less competition in the NFC North. I want the Lions to be good for once, so hopefully it fails miserably.
I agree.
Is the McVay coaching tree already, the best? You can obviously argue, Andy Reid. He's got a phenomenal coaching tree. But there's already so much coming off of that.
I feel like the Sean McVay tree is the new age.
Mm-hmm.
You got a ton of young guys coming out of the Sean McVay tree, and they're all highly sought after and producing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, it might end up being one of the, looking back in, a decade, we might look back and say, the Sean McVay tree was the one that teams should have been picking from instead of Bill Belichick.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely worth, having the debate discussion, I guess. There's obviously, plenty, as just kind of reiterating, plenty of talented young head coaches that are just coaches in general that have come out of it, but it's just still such a short time frame, really.
Yeah.
Zach Taylor's the longest tenured one from the Sean McVay coaching tree, and this is season number 3, right?
The end of season 3, yeah.
Yeah, so it's it's a pretty short time span. You got to give it a few more years.
Right, they're all super young head coaches, and like offensive coordinators.
I just think it's crazy that the Washington team led by Mike Shanahan that had Kyle Shanahan, LaFleur, McVay, and there's one more. I think it was O'Connell actually, who was on the roster or on the coaching staff. They only had 3 wins.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So absolutely crazy there. But let's get into some retirement talk as Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle of the LA Rams, likely to retire. It was his age 40 season. Gets a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the way you want to go out.
Yeah, what's the point of him playing? There's no point of playing any longer. There's nothing else to prove.
Right, and not only did he get a Super Bowl ring, but he won Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Yep. And these guys in the NFL, I know that us looking out from the outside, we're like, yeah, it's a cool award, but I think those guys inside the NFL, that's a huge award for them. So I think that is, along with the Super Bowl ring, that's a really, really, really great way for him to go out.
Well, the NFL always calls the Walter Payton Award the like the most important award in of the year,
right?
Because it's it's a lot more about the individual than it is about the football player. So it's an award that people take a lot of pride in, the players that win that. So
sure.
It's great, good for him. It's a really great way to go on top, winning both those things, and getting to stomp the team that tried killing your career early on.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, was that like Joe Thomas or what was happening?
No, but anyway, he had a very long career. It's amazing that an offensive lineman's still playing at 40. Honestly,
yeah, that's crazy, and he's like one of the best.
Yeah, he's still very, very solid.
Yeah,
going out like Tom Brady at the top of the game, but even a little bit better because Brady, he goes out as a round 2 loser in the playoffs.
He goes out as a should have won MVP.
I agree. That's true.
Could be talk there. Let's not talk about Aaron Donald, as rumors started to fly around at the beginning of the Super Bowl that, hey, if the LA Rams win the Super Bowl, Aaron Donald's thinking about retirement. And then after the game, it was asked, and he said, I don't know, I just want to take these next couple of days to celebrate, and then I'll start addressing my future. But the fact that 31-year-old Aaron Donald, or is he 30? About
30 right now.
Up to 31.
Okay. About to be 31-year-old Aaron Donald, who, in my opinion, should have been Super Bowl MVP, is thinking about retirement. That's insane.
Right.
Yeah, it's strange because he's still very much at the top of his game because he's never left the top of his game. He's been a perennial All-Pro player, been a Pro Bowl selection every single year in his career, All-Pro all but one season. Like, he is the epitome of just dominance in the NFL, really, at one position. And there's, arguments you can make that he's the best defensive player of all time, best offensive lineman. You can definitely really make that argument. But I would like to see him play a little longer because I still think he has another 2-3 years playing at this level. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'd like to see him keep going.
Yeah, I agree. It was so weird while we were watching it that the report came from one of the sideline guys, and it was like, wait, what? Hold on. What did he just say?
Yeah.
What did he just say? And then it started kind of snowballing, and then like you said, Mike, at the end when they asked him, it was not, no, I'm not retiring. It was, yeah, I'm gonna think about it.
Right.
And I was like, what? Aaron Donald, in his prime, which is so weird because he's 30, but he never left his prime. He came in as a rookie in his prime, and he's still in his prime today. It's so weird, but you look at it and I would say that he's the best defensive player of all time, and he has all the accolades. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know what, if you're in his head, you're thinking, I don't know, what else is there left for me to accomplish, Maybe the thought is crossing your mind that, the Rams went all in to win this year, and now things are going to start taking some steps down probably. And you're thinking to yourself, why not just go out on top? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It is a thought that makes sense, but it was completely unexpected.
And I made the joke when we were sitting there that maybe the guy heard, oh yeah, Andrew's thinking about retiring, and thought Aaron instead of Andrew, they're like, oh, what? Aaron Donald's retiring? But you're right. At the end, when she asked, the reporter asked, and he was thinking about it, it was like, geez, that's crazy.
And before we move on, I was looking at your list there. You don't have the Sean McVay one as well. So there was rumors that Sean McVay was going to retire if they won the Super Bowl as well. Where the hell does that come from?
Yeah.
Nowhere. Legit, when I was looking up Kevin O'Connell news, I saw that Sean McVay, possible retirement, derails Kevin O'Connell's plans with the Vikings. I'm like, no, he just got announced. He's still going to the Vikings. Sean McVay is not retiring. He's been in the league, 5 years?
Yeah.
6 years?
Hey, in all fairness, though, if he retired from coaching, he'd get a fat broadcasting contract anyway, where he could just work so much less, make similar money.
He's really likable. I mean,
I could see the avenue, but I couldn't ever imagine him actually doing that.
Yeah.
I think it's very different with Aaron Donald thinking about retirement and Sean McVay, because Aaron Donald is already looked at like one of the top guys ever. Sean McVay is still very early into his coaching career.
Yeah.
Like I would think, at least in my opinion, I don't think he's the number one coach in the league right now.
No.
So if he's not even the number one coach in the league when he retires or at any point in his career, why would you think about it if you are so young and already have so much success?
That's fair. But one more thing, another on the Rams as well.
Oh.
Yeah, just before we move on to that really weird topic. This is just a random thought that I had.
Oh, okay.
So, of all these retirements, they're rumored or whatever. I'm surprised I didn't hear any Stafford retirement rumors, because that guy took so much abuse in Detroit and his body's got to be beat up. I'm surprised I didn't hear if Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl, he'll want to go out on top or something like that. I'm surprised I didn't see that anywhere.
What was funny to me was one of the retirements was Eric Weddle, because he came out of retirement, went to LA for the playoffs, won the Super Bowl, and then was like, okay, I'm going back home.
Yeah, I didn't think that was even worth mentioning.
Yeah, I thought it was just so funny. Man, something's so weird. It's got to be COVID or something. There's so many retirements of big players, at least in the talks this year.
Yeah.
Every name we just said there was the Rams players too. There was just 5 Rams players or coaches that we talk about there.
Before we move on to Marquis Brown, we'll actually stick with the Rams and talk about your boy Matt Stafford, who you just mentioned. There was talk about, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback now? And Richard Sherman came out and said, no, he's never been All-Pro. He's never been MVP. He's never been the number one quarterback in the league at any point in his career. And then a lot of other people saying, yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. What are you talking about? He's top 10 in a lot of different categories. So as Lions fans, as Stafford supporters, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
So we had this talk on the Bolts broadcast. I don't know, maybe the first year we did it.
Okay.
Patrick Marleau was not a Hall of Famer. He was a Hall of very, very good. The best player in the Hall of very, very good is what Patrick Marleau is. Mm-hmm. And I think Matthew Stafford's in the exact same boat. He has everything but that last step he needs to take to be a Hall of Famer, because whether that be an All-Pro, whether that be an MVP, whether it be a Super Bowl MVP, whether it be just another Super Bowl win in general, there's one more major accolade that has to happen before I can safely say, yeah, I would consider him a Hall of Fame quarterback. But otherwise, he's just so good and was always just on the very, very, very verge of greatness, but was never able to fully grab it.
I think that the big thing that makes it so that there's this debate is the talent versus the achievements. Mm-hmm. Because I think talent-wise, I think he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and Steve Young, he came out and said as much. But I agree with you completely, Chase, that to actually be considered by the committee that decides the Hall of Fame, I think he does need another thing, whether it be an MVP, another Super Bowl possibly.
And just a Pro Bowl vote is not going to do it.
Right.
It has to be an All-Pro.
Yeah, I agree. I think, to me, I think he is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I think that he will get there, because I don't think he's near done in his career.
Yeah.
I think that right now, if he retired, I would bet that he would be a Hall of Famer. I would not bet first ballot. I think first ballot is a little bit insane for me.
He'd get it in a weaker class.
Right. And looking at this year's class, I think this year is a perfect example of that. If Matt Stafford was eligible and, retired for 5 years and all that, I think he easily could have made this class. So I think right now, I agree with you guys. He's on that brink. Definitely not a first ballot in my mind. But if he gets something done, then he's guaranteed to be in it. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's go talk about that Marquis Brown situation. Graham and I just heard about it right now. So Chase, why don't you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, this is weird. I saw it on Twitter yesterday. So some guy, don't know the account name, he was unverified, had some followers. I think he's some sort of beat reporter that has probably some sort of ties with the what's it called, the Ravens. But apparently he tweeted out a breaking news report that Marquis Brown is to announce his retirement in the coming days to pursue a career in video game streaming, essentially. That would be very random, very weird. I don't know why he's gonna, pass up on his NFL dreams when he's, he's showing some signs of life this year that he can actually, be a very serviceable, like, starting wide receiver in the NFL and make some decent money. I don't know why just step away from that and do the whole video game thing. Apparently he's been getting kind of big into streaming over the last 18 months or so, and he's actually grown a bit of a following. I don't know. I don't watch him at all, but that's just what I was reading about. So if this were to happen, it'd be a very strange move. But I mean, I guess if he's content just, being done playing football, I guess wish you nothing but the best.
And I have to say, we've seen crazier things from members of the Brown family.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't hear anything about it, but I'm looking at it now. I didn't know that he was a streamer.
Yeah.
But people say that he's like really, really, really good at Madden. So I don't know. I mean, health is a big thing in the NFL that players think about a lot, and that's a big reason why I'd say a vast majority of NFL players retire. So maybe that's in his head, and he'd rather, be a streamer and, keep his health. And I don't think there's a guy that's saying that, he could earn more as a Twitch streamer than an NFL player if he does well. So, I mean,
yeah, technically it's possible, but I mean, it's not that likely. And like, I don't know. I don't doubt either of you guys have seen the show Ballers. It's on Showtime.
I have.
Or HBO. Showtime. HBO.
Okay. With The Rock, right?
Yeah. That's one of my favorite shows on, like, that was ever on TV. It only lasted 5 seasons, but one of the guys in the show was an NFL player who retired just to literally do esports. And so it's not like it's a brand new concept or anything. It's obviously something that happened, in a TV show. It's something that, guys are getting a lot more into esports nowadays. It's growing. Like, Boston Scott is the first professional athlete to also have an esports deal as well for Rocket League. So like it could, it could be like fathomable, but it just still seems very weird and unlikely to me.
Yeah.
I agree. I just don't know if he decides to go this route, how big he can get with Madden, if that's going to be the game he chooses to, stay in, just because Madden streamers aren't the biggest. I know there's some out there who, have 1 million followers on YouTube and everything, but Madden isn't as big as your Fortnites, your Call of Duties, and Warzones and all that. And I'm looking at it right now. Nick Merckx, he makes $65,000 a month just on Twitch subscriptions. So with, ad revenue and everything, he gets more than that. So yeah,
you tend to make more off of your sponsorships and promotions than you do off of your subscription services and stuff. So.
Right. So it could be a credible amount of money, but Nick Merckx is higher than the likes of Tim the Tatman, higher than Ninja, higher than Dr. Lupo, and it's still not sniffing what Marquis Brown is making in the NFL. Yeah. When it comes to Marquis Brown, he's only 24 years old at the end of this season, and he put up 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, his first time putting up 1,000 yards, and that was with a year where Lamar Jackson struggled. So interesting rumor to definitely take a look at, but I think it'd be silly if he decided to forfeit his career this early on.
Yeah.
All right, let's now get into the bad news, and that's the old Super Bowl. 23-20, the LA Rams took it.
Hey,
interesting game.
Good teams win.
Better teams cover. Great teams cover.
Great teams cover.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Bengals cover 4.5. Let's go.
Great team.
I'm interested to see what you guys thought of the game. You guys can, talk about what happened in the game, what your thoughts were around the game. You can talk about the halftime show, whatever you want to say. I'm going to leave my comments towards the end of this specific discussion. So feel free, whoever wants to go first.
I will. I feel like other than the big plays that happened, like, the big plays are at the second half, or the, like the face mask, like, play that went uncalled, like, and at the end of the game, like, there's, like 5 or 6 big plays. Other than that, it just, I don't know, it was just a football game. It was kind of a disappointing end to a very great playoff stretch, in my opinion. If the Bengals would have one, it would have been more of a fun party over here because you'd have been going crazy. So
Yeah.
it would have been a better environment. I'd probably hold the game in higher regard, but because you just sat there all silently and it was just, depressing in the basement, and maybe brought the mood down a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, I've definitely seen better football games. There was plenty of better football games this year. Really, if it wasn't for the Rams trying to just run the ball nonstop with Cam Akers when it clearly was not getting done, it could have been a much better game. If they would, if each team could have thrown the ball 50 times, like just do that would have been a great game. It would have been awesome. But instead, you gotta run the ball with Cam Akers for 18 times for like -6 yards, and just make it hard to watch. Like, why?
Yeah, I said on the Super Bowl preview podcast that I was really conflicted on who do I want to root for. And kind of on Sunday before the game, the thought kind of went through my head, like thinking through these teams, like, okay, yeah, Stafford was our guy. He was our quarterback, and I loved the guy. But like outside of him on that team, I really just don't care about anybody else. And I actively was not a fan of a lot of guys on that team. But when I looked at the Bengals, I thought, there's no real standout guy here that I have a connection to, but I like a lot of the guys on here, and I like the culture that they have. So I decided that I would root for the Bengals, and it wasn't difficult for me to kind of get invested in them throughout the game. And I really, really loved watching the game. And I thought that it was going really well. Obviously, there was that missed face mask OPI on T. Higgins. And so I think that was one thing where it was like, I don't know. Yeah, the Bengals got away with one. But I was glad that the refs were kind of just letting them play to a degree. That was a miss. But other than that, I felt like they let the game play out.
Until the end.
Exactly. Until the very end, and then they decided to get involved on I think it was Logan Wilson, on that just defensive holding. Like, what? There was nothing there. It was a graze, and it was like...
He was holding his energy back. That was the problem.
Yeah.
The refs, like, I'm not really liking the vibes here. The cosmetic energy is off. Got a call penalty.
Yeah. It was... I think it happened on third down.
Yeah, it was third and goal from the 8.
Yeah, automatic first down. And at that point, it's like, you have got to be joking. That is a huge call that you cannot make. And then to see the Bengals come out on that final drive, and on third and fourth down, you have Samaje out there instead of Joe Mixon. And I get that on fourth down, you're trying to mess with the formation and try and get the Rams to think that you're going to pass, or try and get them to think that you're going to do something that you're not. But in the most critical point of the game, where the Super Bowl is on the line, you don't have your best running back out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just that was the most frustrating thing for me, at least in that game, was that how do you do that? And it definitely was really upsetting. Because I was really, really wanting the Bengals to win. But it was nice seeing Stafford get the Lombardi, but not as nice as I thought it was going to be. Because at the end of the day, it's not us. It's him over there after he's gone. There's no love for Detroit, So it's cool that our quarterback, who was our quarterback at one time, got himself a Super Bowl and is now being talked about in those top tier of quarterbacks. But it's like, we're still over here, and there's no guarantee that he ever mentions the Lions again, because it's like, I get that they love the fans, but I know I mentioned I might not have been during the podcast, but I know that I mentioned in the Super Bowl preview, like, oh, you think that Stafford would, when he retires, you think he would come back to the Lions and sign a day one, or a one-day contract to retire a Lion? And honestly, I feel like he's not going to do that. I just honestly, I don't think they super care about.
You want to put money on that? I guarantee you he will.
I might.
Oh boy,
Guarantee
Chase is
he
betting
will.
again.
It really depends on how long he stays with the Rams and with how long he continues to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
The only way he doesn't is if he wins like three Super Bowls with the Rams. Like it could be something like that where he's just like going to be remembered as a Rams player, not a Lions player.
Yeah, I think it does help that that Lions fans outpour a lot of support for him. And what in the world? Did you guys see the ratings for the Super Bowl?
I saw
the number one team,
Cincinnati.
The number one market was Cincinnati. The number two was Detroit. That's ridiculous. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that LA wasn't in the top 10. I didn't expect LA to be in the top 10.
No.
LA fans don't care about that team.
No, they don't. Like for fans at the game, it was Bengals fans and then people who had enough money. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
That's all it was. So like those market numbers really don't surprise me.
Also, I thought it was funny because you said if he's going to be remembered as a Ram, then he probably won't. When I don't remember what I was watching. I think it was just like a NBC like opening, football show or whatever. But someone said that this is going to be a fun Super Bowl because fans around the world are going to be introduced to two new quarterbacks. One that is very young and the other who was hidden away in a bad market of Detroit.
Not a bad market, a bad team.
So
I'm
just thinking, two new quarterbacks. That's interesting.
Stupid. What a stupid idiot.
Also, I have to say, I am happy that Graham said, hey, this isn't a Lions Super Bowl, because I've seen some people say that, especially the one drunk guy on TikTok that always wears Lions stuff, and it's funny. He's like, yeah, Lions Super Bowl. I'm like, no, dude.
I got to say, if any of you listening bought a Detroit Rams shirt,
oh my God,
you're a joke.
Oh, no.
You're a joke.
And that guy that went super crazy when the Rams beat the Niners in the NFC Championship, and then he got he got a ticket to that game, right?
No, he got tickets to the Super Bowl, I thought.
I don't think so. No, he went to the NFC Championship.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. So.
It was that the video of the Stafford fan who was just going nuts for him to clock the ball. Remember?
Yeah,
on TikTok.
Yeah, and he got tickets to the NFC Championship game. Like, good on him. But I also saw that he tweeted out after the Super Bowl, like, I'm so happy, I'm crying, and it's like, that's not your team though. Like, I get that it's Stafford and go Stafford, but it's not our team. It's just not. Yeah,
like we're gonna have this talk about a little bit on Bolts broadcast later, but like Claude Giroux is captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, and this guy's been in Philly for a long time, had little success, and is talking about how he wants to the chance that he's gonna get traded this year, and he wants to go to Colorado to try to win a championship. And if he goes to Colorado and wins a championship, I don't care if I'm the biggest Claude Giroux fan in the world. I'm not gonna like cry about it. Like good for you, dude. You want a championship on a team? You worked hard and you deserved it. Like great. I couldn't imagine crying that much over a player that I have no legitimate relation to.
Right. A little weird. All right, is it my turn?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Please.
First of all, I'm gonna put a poll out on our Twitter at WNP Sports Pod and ask you what you think of the Super Bowl. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Because I will tell you, if your favorite team hasn't been in a Super Bowl, it's a weird feeling. Like, I did not feel like it was a Super Bowl. Like, I was just so invested. I don't even remember half of the game. I'll be honest.
Be aware that a lot of the listeners here are Detroit Lions fans, so their team has not been in a Super Bowl.
So they won't know, like, the different experience. And me, I'm a very stressful person when it comes to my Bengals. They've broken my heart so many times that, I've always got a fear in my heart. So this game was very stressful for me. I am not a person that likes to go after the refs. I know multiple times on the show we've talked about it, how fans are pissed about, refereeing and everything. So I will talk about them, but after. I want to say there's three main reasons that the Cincinnati Bengals lost this game. One, the offensive line. Two, Joe Burrow's play. It simply was not good enough. And three, Zach Taylor, some of his play calling, and the personnel of Samaje Perine being on the field in the two most important plays of franchise history over Joe Mixon. I think that's an absolute joke. So the offensive line started really well. Only one sack in the first half. Gave up 7 or 6 in the second half. I think 7 total. So really not good. They crumbled at the end when it could have been a game-winning touchdown to Jamar Chase on 4th and 1, but Joe Burrow gets sacked, and I have to say, how funny is the cycle of life? I know you guys will remember the meme, but going into the draft, there was the meme of Joe Burrow with Penei Sewell blocking will be able to pass the ball to anybody, and Joe Burrow with just anybody will not be able to complete the pass to Jamar Chase, even if he's wide open. Well, throughout the whole season, it was looking like that meme was wrong, you know? Jamar Chase doing great, Joe Burrow doing great. Obviously, Joe Burrow was getting hit a lot, but we were still getting the wins. Well, now our season ends with that same exact image of Burrow on the ground, Jamar Chase wide open, Jalen Ramsey had fallen, and Jamar Chase could have had a touchdown.
It's literally like finding an ancient Egyptian
hieroglyph.
Thank you. Why can't I say that
right.
word? Wow. Yeah, it's like finding a hieroglyphics in a Egyptian pyramid, and you see that just on the wall, just telling the future. It's really funny. That's what it came down to, honestly.
And absolutely, Jamar Chase still should have been the pick, but it just the cycle of life and the cycle of these things. It was kind of sad that that's the way it ended with that exact image of Burrow on the ground, Jamar Chase wide open. Zach Taylor, like I said, putting Samaje Perine out there in the two most important plays of franchise history. I think that's terrible. A lot of times he would run the ball on situations where he probably shouldn't have, be a little bit more aggressive. However, I do have to give him props. We saw the trick play where Joe Mixon threw a passing touchdown to T. Higgins.
That way to screw my bet over.
Yeah, screwed your bet over, but there was two trick plays in the game. The Bengals hit theirs, the Rams did not. And the Rams went the classic Philly special with Cooper Kupp trying to throw it to Stafford. That didn't work, though. So do give props to him there, but we got to be more aggressive. We got to go take that win. It didn't seem like he was going after the win because our offense got extremely stagnant after the T. Higgins big play. And then when it came to Joe Burrow, there was just a couple of passes where he missed. I know there was one where Jamar Chase was coming on a curl route, and he just threw it into the ground, like about 2 feet in front of him. There was just a couple of plays where I think Joe Burrow could have done more. He wasn't the best tonight or on the Super Bowl night, and he even admitted that. He said, I need to be better.
But
I think...
Go ahead.
I think overall, I'm still extremely happy to have Joe Burrow, and it's hard to play in front of an offensive line that's so brutal. But all three of those things led to the team losing.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
If you're trying to blame Joe Burrow for that loss, then you're just flat out wrong because he didn't play bad enough to make them lose. He just didn't necessarily elevate them to make them win.
Right. Those are my three big factors on why we did lose.
Yeah. So I don't want anybody making out like Joe Burrow played like garbage and he's the reason the Bengals lost, because that's just not true. The real reason. No, I know you're not. I'm just saying for people out there.
I was just gonna say he had a good stat line, had a touchdown, didn't throw any interceptions. Yeah. So yeah.
The real reason they lost is because they still use the B as a logo and haven't switched to that tiger yet. I hate the B logo so much.
They would have won. Yeah.
I genuinely think it might be my least favorite logo in the NFL.
Yeah. There's
what's worse?
Have you seen the Commanders logo?
Okay, they both share the 31 spot. They're tied for 31.
Have you seen the Rams logo?
That one's better.
Better than the Bengals.
Oh, I hate the Rams logo.
Then that takes a lot for me to say.
I love their old one. Their old one was great.
Yeah, old one was perfectly fine. They switched to this, and it's yuck. But then you realize, the Bengals just used the letter B.
Have you seen the Lions logo?
It's great.
Great logo.
Fantastic logo.
Yeah. I didn't want to talk about it during the at the end.
Oh boy,
because it was just I didn't want to make you upset, but when you're looking at the Super Bowl, this team has the roster, they have the talent, they have the resources to get better. They are a Super Bowl team. But the thing about the NFL is the Super Bowl is so hard to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if I were to say, will Joe Burrow win a Super Bowl? I would say yes. Will the Bengals win a Super Bowl? I would say yes. But it's so hard to just say that because, honestly, I think there were teams better than the Bengals in the playoffs.
Yep.
They lost. So I want the Bengals to get back. I'll root for the Bengals to get back, but just saying that, they'll get back to one, it's not that easy because the Super Bowl is such a hard game to even get to, let alone win.
Right. Yeah. I do want to say that the end of the night sucked ass because I so badly wanted all of us to be drinking champagne, smoking cigars, having a great time. And I even thought about it while I was showering the day of and was thinking, there's going to be two different outcomes here. Either we're all so happy and celebrating, even if someone was rooting for the Rams, I'm sure Ethan would probably still have a good time with everyone. Or it played out like it did, where like it was just kind of John left immediately.
Yeah.
And then Graham and Ethan were gone maybe 5 minutes later, and you were gone maybe 90 seconds later.
Yeah.
So you asked if I was getting on Xbox. I said, yeah, probably. Never did.
Nope.
So it was just, it was tough. But I did want to go to talk about the ref stuff now. Obviously, like I said, the Bengals had three main reasons why they faltered. It is not completely the ref's fault or anything like that. The Bengals could have been better and could have won this game. But I do want to talk about refereeing as a whole. The missed face mask for T. Higgins, terrible. How do you miss that? Secondly, on the Bengals' last play, 4th and 1, it looked like Aaron Donald lined up offsides.
Yeah.
They missed the call on Logan Wilson, or they made the fake call, I should say, on Logan Wilson.
And they did miss a call on that play, too.
Yes, they did, because there was a false start on the same play by the Rams.
By the whole offensive line.
Except for the center.
Yes.
So it was just, I feel like this year and this game kind of epitomized where refereeing is right now, officiating is right now for the NFL. Like, it's been bad this year. The taunting calls, maybe the stupidest rule in the NFL. Like, I just feel like overall, officiating is at its lowest point.
It's a problem I complain about a lot in lower levels of sports, like the level of sports that I work in. I think it's really bad. Officials think that there's three teams out there. I think there's the home team, the away team, then the officiating team, when that's just not the case. There's two teams out there, and then there's a set of officials to make sure the game stays in check. That's all it is. They're not competing against anybody. They're not winning anything. They're not losing anything. They're there to do a job, keep the game in order, keep the game in check, and just keep the game as in the rules as possible. And it feels like a lot of times, you know, like, I know that they're just following the rules with the taunting penalties, like on how the NFL wants to penalize, but still, some of the stuff that was being called was just over the top, and it just really wanted to prove a point and just be a part of the game when it really, like, you want to hear and see the referees as little as possible, like the officials, like that. That's when you know that they're doing a proper job. They're calling the things they need to, and they're not calling anything they're not supposed to. Like just as minimal as possible. Then you know they're doing a good job.
Absolutely. I love what you said, that the referees are there to keep the game in check. The game is playing out, and they're just watching, making sure that nothing like really steps out of the rules. And I think that if it's not an obvious thing, like the T. Higgins OPI, that was an obvious thing. How do you miss that?
Yep.
The Logan Wilson defensive holding was not obvious at all because it wasn't there. And it's like, there's so many games this year that I feel like had such a heavy negative referee interference in them. And something has to be done. Something has to be done because you can't have games that are shifted by refs, like wrongly. Like if T. Higgins was called on OPI and that changes the game, okay, well that was you know, that was the right call.
It was an earned penalty, yeah.
Right. But if they're making these stupid calls and that's changing the outcome of the game, or they're missing things that are so blatantly obvious, like what are you doing? Like it felt like there were they were flip-flopping between, okay, we're just going to let this game play out, and oh, you know what? Actually, I kind of want to get involved. And it's like, can we have some consistency at least?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, you have to call a game the same way for all 60 minutes. Plus, if it goes into overtime.
You set a standard, you got to follow a standard.
Exactly. And the officiating crews are human. They're going to miss calls. We get that. But don't go 58 minutes of not calling anything to then calling. I think there was like 3 or 4 calls in the last 2 minutes. So That's really annoying, and I know a lot of people have come out and talked about it on both sides about how officiating just wasn't good enough. Devondre Campbell, a linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, just want to say what he said real quick. I'm going to say this, and I don't care what anybody thinks. That was not pass interference against Logan Wilson on the goal line. That was a great play against a really good football player, but for some reason, people automatically assume that a linebacker versus a wide receiver is an automatic mismatch. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not. We as defensive players have the right to make plays on the ball, and Wilson made a great play that was stolen away from him on an absolutely atrocious penalty. He never once held or tugged him. He was using his 5 yards to reroute him, which we are allowed to do. The ball was thrown slightly behind, and Wilson made a great play, point and blank, period. That was the biggest play in the entire game last night, and I firmly believe that if they don't make that terrible call, the Bengals win the Super Bowl. So those were his opinions. Urinating Tree, I don't know if you guys are familiar with his work. He's a YouTuber. He's actually a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he even came to the defense in I think it was about a 3-minute video on YouTube calling the Super Bowl ref ball because the refs were the ones that determined the outcome. So just a lot of unfortunate opinions when it comes to officiating, and I think something has to be mentioned about it soon, I would hope, or before the season at least, to try to get some more consistency around it.
Absolutely.
All right, well, those were our opinions on the Super Bowl. Again, go vote in that poll. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? But we're going to go into a quick season review, look back at some of our takes, and see what we thought. So let's start with just our hot takes. Graham, your first hot take was that Josh Allen was going to win the MVP and Super Bowl 56. Chase, you were on board. I said no, Josh Allen's probably going to have regression, which it wasn't like huge regression.
I wouldn't call that regression.
But it was a little bit of regression.
It's not regression. You have ups and downs in your careers. You have like deviance, but it's not regression.
Yeah, it was kind of regression.
There's a big difference between deviance and regression.
He went from, I think, 35 touchdowns and 10 picks to 34 touchdowns and 15 picks.
Yeah, that's
regression. No. Nailed it.
I think this year he confirmed to us that step last year was a solid step in his career, and I think he cemented himself in that top tier of quarterbacks. So, he didn't win MVP and the Bills didn't win Super Bowl 56. In a slightly different world, I could see the Bills going to the Super Bowl and winning it. But I think that the thought behind it rings somewhat true, and that the Bills were a very, very good team and Josh Allen played very, very well.
I have to say our hot takes are kind of, I'm like, are they even that hot? They didn't really seem that hot. So
looking back on them, you mean?
Yeah. So Chase,
I'm looking at mine now.
Mine were kind of hot.
One of your hot takes was you said that Cliff Kingsbury gets the can after the Cards miss the playoffs. Graham, you said you agree. I said that just give them an extra year, especially if they're competitive in the toughest division. So they played well. They did make the playoffs. You didn't get fired.
They played well until they didn't play well anymore.
Yeah.
It fell apart at the end. Again.
Until they played against the Detroit Lions, who figured them out.
Yeah, literally.
Or they just fell apart.
And then they got beat by the Detroit Rams too. So,
oof.
My hot take. One of my hot takes was that Justin Fields would finish with more wins than Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence combined. That did not happen. Fields only had 2, while the others combined for 5. Chase said no because
Huge
the Jags
difference.
and the Jets would come. Yeah, Chase says no because the Jags and the Jets would combine for 11 total wins. Graham agreed with the 11 win mark.
That was close.
Mike and Alec think it's crazy. Jets and Jags combined for 8 wins max, and they actually combined for 7 wins max. So,
well, wasn't that swell?
Look at me and Alec being so smart. Let's go over another Graham one. He said Jimmy G was going to lead another team to the playoffs, not being the 49ers. You and I both said
he led his own
happening.
team. He led his own team to the playoffs.
He did. Chase, you actually got one right.
Yeah, I know I did. I'm smart.
You said that 5 rookies would lead their team in receiving yards. The actual was 6.
Ooh.
You had Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Moore, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Kyle Pitts.
That's something, man.
Never do.
That is something.
Graham said he could see it happening. I said it was unlikely. I did put in that Calvin Ridley would easily beat Kyle Pitts.
I saw the future.
If anyone was watching the NFL this year. Calvin Ridley did not do that.
No,
so.
he did not.
Another one. Mike says comeback player of the year won't be a quarterback, but rather Nick Bosa. Chase and Graham say it'll probably be a quarterback, but they think it's possible.
That was a good take. I think Nick Bosa, outside of the quarterbacks, was the number one.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Graham's. Ooh, this is a good one. You're gonna like this one. Graham says that Drew Lock takes a Josh Allen-like jump, beating out the Chargers for second in the AFC West.
Ooh.
Chase says absolutely not. Mike says not likely for a less talented Jay Cutler.
I was wrong.
He's
he barely
so
touched
bad.
the field.
He's
he barely
so
touched the
bad at
field.
football.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know
is
what you guys
quite
ever
bad.
saw on him. I saw nothing.
He should have touched the field more because Teddy was.
Teddy wasn't good, and Drew Lock still didn't play over him.
Hey, well, we'll get to some stuff that you said.
I'm firmly off the Drew Lock train, just by the way.
Good. Glad.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear.
By the way, I gave that a 1. So don't let's not act like I thought that was going to happen.
That was by far my hottest one.
Chase says defensive player gets top 3 in MVP voting. Specifically says he would see Chase Young doing it. You didn't put that in your actual hot take, but that was your preference. Graham, you liked it. I said very possible, but I prefer Aaron Donald for that. No MVP votes went to any defensive players. It was Rodgers, Brady, and Kupp.
Yep.
TJ Watt or Micah Parsons maybe both deserved like consideration though.
Mm-hmm.
So
For sure.
Consideration, yeah, but when it comes down to the votes, it's tough to actually get.
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So-
I know.
I remember this one was my hottest one. It was a 4-parter. Mike says that Matt Rule finishes top 3 for Coach of the Year.
Strike 1.
Darnold takes a big jump, and the Panthers'
Strike 2.
offense and defense will both be top 15.
Strike 4.
The defense was 2.
Was it really?
Yeah.
They were.
They finished that high. I know they started strong. They still finished that high.
Yeah. When it came to yards per play or yards
Where's
per
the
game.
offense at?
Yeah.
Where's the offense at?
30.
Yeah. So they average out to like what? 16.
They averaged out about 15 and a half, 16.
Yeah.
They average
You're
out
close.
the average.
So
of the league.
close. I didn't expect Sam Darnold to be that bad. And you guys didn't either, actually, because we were talking about Sam Darnold on a couple of different shows, including the South Division show, in which we all said we think that Darnold could take that next step.
Yeah, I thought Sam Darnold
He
would
did
be
at
good.
first.
He was looking really good, and then
I have here, Chase says next season he could see it, but this year is a stretch. Graham says he could see it and is very confident Darnold could turn his career around in Carolina. So
yeah,
he was looking good.
Yeah.
But-
He turned his career around, then turned it right back around
he
again.
did. Yeah.
I want to talk about some other little notes I have when it came to our divisional shows, and then we can go over rankings if we want to, or just talk about the bad ones that we had. But
Did we only do 3 hot takes?
we did in the NFL. I didn't look at the fantasy ones.
I think we had
Okay.
like a backup. Or something.
Because I highlighted 4 of them. I was wondering the other one I'd highlighted was 7 rookie QBs would start a game this year, and they did.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go. So going over to the East divisions, this was a show with you, John Dahl, and I. We all said that Ryan Fitzpatrick was better than Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if he would have
I
been able to
agree.
play, he would have been. Especially as a passer. Jalen Hurts is a terrible passer, and Daniel
Whoa,
Jones
whoa,
is just bad
hey.
at football.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true.
It's in terms of actual value on the field, it's definitely not true anymore.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts has the
Anymore.
most value of those 3
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
field, but I still think he's a terrible quarterback.
Yeah.
The hottest take out of the South was that you said the Jags would be 6-11, and you said that you could possibly see them getting to 8 wins. That was probably the hottest out of the South.
Well, I thought Trevor
Well-
Lawrence was good at football.
That's a good point.
And I knew Urban Meyer wasn't going to be great, but I didn't think he was going to be all-time bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So that just didn't work out.
no.
How about this one? It's about the Super Bowl champs. My cousin Derek came on for it. He said he doesn't see much of an upgrade from Goff going to Stafford. Doesn't see much of an upgrade.
Let's look at both of their teams.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
That's
that,
fine.
that was too funny.
We even put that as part of the intro because we used to do the intros where we would have clips of the show. So that was part of the intro, him saying he doesn't see much of an upgrade. How about this one? This is going to the North. Both Graham and Chase say that Baker Mayfield can win a Super Bowl with the roster the Browns currently have. Obviously, I was not on that train. We all know that I am not a Baker Mayfield fan, but apparently you guys were.
It's still a good enough roster. Just too bad Baker actually somehow just got significantly
worse.
Yeah, it's like significantly worse.
Yeah.
Too many commercials.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, he needs to cut it out. I had him going 12-5.
Mm-hmm.
I had him going 12-5.
Yikes. Yeah, I think actually my AFC standings were exactly flipped.
Yeah.
Like I had the Bengals last, Steelers second to last.
Chase had the Steelers going 5-12.
I have him here at 6-11.
Oh, okay. Well, when I listened to the video, that's what you said. But 6-11.
Maybe I made a last minute tweak somewhere.
I don't know what you have in there for the Bengals, but
9-8.
So what I have written down for you saying about the Bengals, you had them 9-8, almost predicted 10-7, which is what they finished.
So close.
Dang.
I flip-flopped one of the Ravens games last minute is what I did.
Yes, you did. But you said there's still a long way away from competing, and the defense still has a lot of work to do, which they were in the Super Bowl, and I would say the defense was probably the best part of their Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I don't know if that it's not even just the Bengals defense. All defenses in the NFL, it's very rare that they repeat like high level play like back-to-back years. There's bound to be regression. So, they probably just caught really hot streaks and caught all the right breaks this year. So realistically, they can't be content. They need to add pieces still.
Right. How about this one? This isn't from anyone that was actually on the show, but it was one that all three of us bashed, and I think rightfully so. Chris and Johnny both said that the Vikings would have a top 10 defense. All of us said, no, not going to happen. I said that I wouldn't be shocked if it's top half, but top 10, way too rich. They finished 30th.
Yeah, it's because they thought, okay, it was just a down year. Mike Zimmer's a great defensive coach because in 2020 season, their defense was really bad as well. And so they were like, oh, yeah, they're going to come back. Mike Zimmer, he's going to get them back to where they need to be. No, they were terrible. Mike Zimmer got fired.
I don't understand why I still, at the time I said this, I don't understand why they thought that. Their defense was bad. Didn't add any pieces. Literally lost starting pieces.
Yeah,
how are they going to improve? Mike Zimmer's not Bill Belichick. He can't just make any random pieces work together. Like they were clearly going to be terrible. And shocker, they were terrible.
So that's what I have for written down, like some of our statements. When you guys are looking at your records, is there anything that you briefly want to point out that you were either super wrong about or spot on?
The Seahawks is a killer, I think, for all of us, right?
Yep, I had the Seahawks 11-6.
I can't remember where I had the Seahawks.
So that one hurt. Other than that, I expected Washington to win their division, but didn't think things were going to go that south of that defense. The defense showed so much promise.
That is one that I know that we were all wrong on was Washington because we all thought this defense was going to come in and be elite, and they weren't.
Derek, what did he predict the Broncos at, like 11-6 or something like that?
I don't remember, actually.
It was something real asinine.
I know he had them third above the Raiders, but
it was something that like they should not have been projected at, if I remember correctly. But either way, Broncos suck.
Also, for you and I, the Eagles, I had them at 3-14. I think you had them at like 5-12 or something.
I had the Eagles at 4-13.
So wrong about that as they went on to make the playoffs.
My Falcons did the Falcons go 4-13 exactly?
No, they went 7-10.
No, they didn't. That's a lie.
They went 7-10.
That's a lie.
I know, right?
That feels like that feels like the most 4-win team in NFL history.
They were the worst 7-win team of all time. I think.
Yeah. Wow. I was supposed to say I got the Falcons right. Clearly not.
Yeah.
What did the Saints finish?
9-8.
How? Where do they get 9 wins from?
To be fair, I did have them at 9 wins. So.
I had them at 7-10. Brutal.
Yeah, that division was weird, dude. That was a weird division, and I had the Panthers at 6-11. I think they went 5-12. So I think didn't you say they went 5-12?
The Panthers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. You got one. And then you guys don't have the Green Bay predictions with Aaron Rodgers.
No, I had them 8-9 without Aaron Rodgers.
I had them 5-12 without Aaron Rodgers.
Nice.
Because I despised them.
I had 11-6 with Aaron Rodgers. A little bit better than that. But
I probably would have added 3 to 4 wins.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, like, it was pretty good. I think a majority of the teams that I had making playoffs did make the playoffs. The only differences for the AFC for me is I had Cleveland and Miami in when it was actually Cincinnati and Tennessee. And then when I look at the NFC side, I had Washington in, which they did not make. And I had all 4 teams in the NFC West making it, which didn't happen.
Dang.
I ignored everything you said because I was looking at my fantasy hot takes. I was a fantasy genius this year.
Were you?
He said Mike Williams won.
I had Mike Williams, James Robinson outscoring Travis Etienne.
Okay.
I had James Conner to outscore Chase Edmonds. He ended up doing that.
They both stink, though.
They both still finished as RB2s. Pat Freiermuth outscoring every second-year tight end. He did.
Well, that one wasn't even a hot take. I remember on the show, we were like, who's he going to beat out? Cole Kmet?
Yeah. But then Najee Harris, the top 6 RB despite inefficient numbers. Did he finish as like number 6 in the year?
He didn't have great yards per carry.
No,
he was incredibly efficient.
No. After that,
Through the air.
The Rams 4 top 12 players in respect to their positions.
Rams did?
Yeah, that part I actually don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. Stafford,
I was thinking about. I
Cup.
forgot Robert Woods disappeared because he lost an ACL.
Yeah.
So they had 3.
outside of those,
So they had 3.
They did? Stafford, Cup, and who?
Yeah, it was Higbee.
Was he top 12?
Yeah, there's no way he wasn't. If you were a tight end and you saw
Look up.
50% of snaps, you were top 12.
What format are we looking? PPR?
Yeah, absolutely.
To give you a little love?
My other one was Josh Jacobs, Kenny Drake as top 20 for running backs. That one didn't happen, but it was kind of close.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Lions 3-14, which they went 3-13-1. So
Yeah, pretty spot on. I remember actually on the episode, I said maybe we need to make Chase the new Lions enthusiast because he had him at 6 wins. And Graham was lower on him this year. So,
well, in all fairness, the way they played, they should have probably had 6 wins. They played great in some
That's
games
true.
and just lost, heartbreakers.
mm-hmm.
But whatever, it probably works out better this way anyway.
Yeah. All right, well, there we go. There was our season in review. I mean, I guess we can go over Super Bowl. You said Bills, Rams. Graham, I don't remember who you had.
In my Super Bowl prediction?
Yeah.
At what point in the season? Preseason?
Yeah, preseason.
I think I had, it was Rams, Bills.
Rams, Bills.
Yeah.
I just went the cheap route, Bucks, Chiefs. However, I did get a hot take, Patriots versus 49ers. So, but my...
Tyler Higbee was... Tyler Higbee was 1, 2, 3.
Tell me 13. Tell me 13. Please tell me
15.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dang, that's shocking.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our show. Season in review, a little heartbreaking Super Bowl talk, but we're going to be back next week with some fun stuff. Would you say so, Chase?
I would say so.
I think that we're going to start our prospect preview next week. I have been busy crying in my bed all week, so I haven't really even been prepared on what's going to happen with WNP. So I assume that will be our next step, go into our prospect previews, do some mock drafts, everything like that. So hope you're excited for that because I am. I know for the past 2 weeks I've been wanting to do prospect stuff, but I just couldn't get to it because I was too busy worrying about my Cincinnati Bengals. But it's going to do it for the show. We want to thank you so much for coming out and giving us a listen. If you want to stay up to date with what we do and vote in our poll about the Super Bowl, make sure to head over to Twitter and follow us at WNP Sports Pod. That's again on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. We also have a Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Those links will be down in the description as well as the Twitter. If you are on YouTube, if you could please give us a like, comment, subscribe. We would really appreciate that. Hit the bell to turn on notifications. And hell, let us know what you thought about the Super Bowl in the comments too. If you're listening on YouTube, that'd be great. If you're listening on a podcast platform, if you could please give us a 5-star rating and a follow, we would really appreciate that. I want to thank you so much for coming out. And as always, we're not professionals.